I cannot tell you what it feels like to look into the eyes of a child with nothing but motherly affection, because I've never held a child in this womb. But I've given birth to so much pain, I know what it feels like to hold on to something too tight. Simply because it's a part of yourself, not good for your health, just something you felt you needed. I have nursed grudges to the point of sucking me dry, no moisture left in the back of this throat for a river, so peace stopped passing by, and the only time joy ever calls anymore is to say that when morning is here, she won't be coming nigh. So I'm left alone with sorrow to scrape jagged tears from broken eyes, and sometimes I think about going home. Because in my Father's house are many rooms, and his arms are always open. But I can't imagine that any of those rooms is equipped to deal with a family like this, where chaos is the norm and love feels like mischief. Somewhere between watching pain grow up and grudge grow old, I developed this sort of defective attachment to them. A twisted nostalgia like I hate you, but I hate to watch you leave home. Like I can't stand to have you touch me, but I can't seem to let you go. And it's not that I'm afraid of having an empty home. There is always another on the way. But when you've lived with sorrow as your closest companion for so long, you learn to be comfortable with not being okay. You learn that mercy doesn't exist and you will never be worthy of grace, and in the entirety of human history, you may very well be the only one incapable of being saved. And you know it's not true. You know for a fact it is not true, but that doesn't matter. Because despite the short amount of time it takes for this information to pass from neuron to neuron across synapse to jump around between parietal lobe and prefrontal cortex, there will always be an incalculable amount of time to create a specific neural pathway aided by transducers designed to reduce all of that knowledge to a single packet of truth to be stored in any of the 4 chambers of a heart still looking for proof. In layman's terms, if you are like me, you have tried and failed countless times to connect head to heart, to go from knowledge to belief across a chasm too wide, separated by spine. So when asked what you believe, all you have to offer is a faith with no backbone. Like I know love is all you need, right? And I mean, you always have a little love left, right? But it's so much easier to believe that love had to go and all he left me with were songs like, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean. God is love, but love is a stranger, and my parents told me not to let those in. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. And I have less in common with that ocean than I do with the Dead Sea, filled to the brink with salt water I can no longer see. But we both know what it feels like not to be able to carry life inside of me, because this shattered spirit cannot support anything that would dare to breathe. I may not have peace like a river, but I have waterfalls spilling over windowsills to a wounded soul, and these windowsills frame shards of glass. And when you look at the world through shattered glass for too long, you forget that everything isn't as broken as you are. You forget how to forgive yourself. Your night becomes a perpetual morning sickness as you drown in your self-sustained sea of sadness. Your night in blood-stained armor, mourning to see that you have grown pregnant on death's kisses and cannot conceive anything that is of him. And it feels like I lost hope, but the truth is, hope lost me, because every time she comes around, I send her packing. Refusing to believe that I could be rescued from a sinking ship, the only passenger to know it would fail and still buy a ticket for the Titanic. I became so focused on the beauty and broken and the pretty and pain that the healing and hurt fell into my blind spot, and I was too ashamed to look up. Terrified that hope would always be just out of reach. That forgiveness would never really want me, but you see, grace and mercy fought for me just to prove that even when I didn't spy it, I was worth something. And then I realized that love was on board and he could go fish on any deck he chose, but it pleased him to save this little old maid, no payment to be made on my part. He simply wanted to be king of this art. And maybe it's easier than I make it sound, but I've never been good at moving on, and I'm not too great at letting go. Nearly a quarter of a century and change still makes me uncomfortable. Though I am beginning to register the price paid for my nickels and dimes, I decided to let love into a heart that still treats him like a stranger sometimes. Because he's more of a best friend. Even when I treat him like I don't need him, he promises to be there. To remind me that my body is a temple when it feels like a graveyard, when I treat it like a graveyard. To window wash sorrow-filled raindrops from the stained glass mosaic he made of my broken pieces. And when I cannot find hope, he promises to find her for me. When I refuse every gift of grace, he will tenderly remind me how to unwrap each one again and again and again. And when I am desperate for mercy, he will whisper into my ears that she never left. When the latest selfie I have taken with faith is plastered across milk cartons in strange doorways, he will guide me to the cross and bring me down to my knees, where I can always find a few mustard seeds. Because love has patience when my waiting room is empty. And love is kind when I have yet to have my morning cup of tea and you are already bothering me. Love does not envy or boast. He is not proud or rude. He keeps no record of wrongs. Love is not selfish or self-seeking. He delights not in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Love always protects, always hopes, always trusts, always perseveres. Love never fails, even when I do. When I try to replace him with mystery and knowledge and enough faith to move mountains and the occasional hardship, I am reminded that I am not without him, can achieve nothing in his absence. I am who I am because I'm loved by love, and God is love. So I'm forgiven and I'm free because I'm his. I have not returned to my Father's house because I have nowhere left to go. I have lived with sorrow. I've been in love with pain, and I have even searched for comfort in the eyes of death. So no, I've never been homeless. But being wrapped in the arms of a loving Savior, it feels, well, to be honest, it feels a lot like coming home.